Your website is the mousetrap. Your content is the cheese. Welcome to Content Matters with Barry Feldman and Andy Crestodina.
Every website's got one. Your homepage. What do you put on the homepage? Is it the landing page for everybody? No, but it's a landing page for a lot of people. It's a critical page. It's a tough one. It's important. Homepages matter. I'm talking to Barry Feldman today about what to put on your homepage.
Yeah, they definitely matter. If you're a serious digital marketer, obviously you have a website. And if you are a serious digital marketer, obviously you take the homepage of your website very seriously. It's likely to be the entry point for probably most of your visitors or first-time visitors anyway. And I think it paralyzes the crap out of people. It's not as easy as as you might think it is, right? It's a changing realm, and you look at it and you go, whoa, I don't know. I mean, I think I've updated my website several times. I think it's amongst the hardest decisions you make.
Tough, yeah. It's like an emotional thing. It's like a home. It's like literally like you're going to live there. It's like people spend a lot of extra time, almost more time than it needs sometimes. But critically important. Let's just cover the basics. What goes on your homepage? Obviously, your logo doesn't have to be huge. Most visitors know where they are. A lot of people landed there because they did a branded search and just searched for the business name, and they already know where they are. So, logo standard position would be top left, and it doesn't have to be giant. That's the header. What else goes in the header? The menu. Menu goes in the header, contact information, and contact link would be top right. Phone number, top right would be a good thing. Main navigation these days would normally be horizontally aligned. Big, prominent, descriptive navigation's good. Secondary navigation often appears above, at the very top. Would be a common place to put secondary nav, but that's the basics of what you're going to find in a homepage header. What else we got, Barry?
Well, you have that special entry thing. You have a lot of membership sites and services such that it appears to be different if you are a member, if you're not, and so you will have the keys, if you will, or the door into things. And so I think that's something they have to consider. You mentioned a secondary nav bar, which might include your bar. Your blog. It might include entry to membership only stuff. So I think that's something to think about. And yeah, your phone number too. You've pointed out when you talk about things to not put there that you probably don't want to put your social media icons there. And I think I concur with you on that. Though mine sort of linger there. They are exit signs. So
they're exit signs. People, do not put big candy-colored exit signs in the header of your homepage. It would be a mistake to design a retail space that had a huge exit sign as soon as people walked in. That would be crazy. So where there's traffic, there's hope. You want to keep your visitors on your website. If the visitor is on your site, they can convert in all kinds of ways and good things can happen. They can share, read, engage. But visitor goes away from your website is really not that likely to come back. Click-through rates from social media websites to company websites are extremely low, 1% or less, we think. But generally, I would not recommend putting big social media icons, colored icons, almost any social media icon in the header of your homepage or any page.
Yeah, so we're working verbally through what would be considered visually a top-down conversation here because we're going top to bottom. So we did the header, and that's going to have your logo and this special entry thing and your menu that helps people navigate it. And so now you move south. And you're going to see something dominant, big, and it goes by a lot of names, but the name it goes by today mostly is Hero Shot.
Yep. Hero Shot, featured image, often a slideshow. Slideshow's falling out of favor. Research shows most visitors will not see even the second slide, right? It's probably better to make the tough choice and use some design discipline and just pick one thing to be that big, most prominent thing with one headline, with one call to action. But yeah, that hero shot, our friend Angie Schapmuller would say that there's a difference between a hero shot and a featured image. The hero shot, main difference being it's going to show the product or service in context. It implies a benefit. It has some keyword relevance. It's not just some generic product picture or stock photo of a service company's thing just on a blank background. But yeah, big image. That's the dominant focal point and top of the visual hierarchy for most homepages.
Yeah, when I contributed to the Orbit Media Studios blog on this very topic about things to put on your homepage. Somebody in the comment stream said, do you really want to devour that space with a big image or a big video? It's an interesting question. I think, I don't know that the answer is yes or no, but you do want to do something that gets people at your website for the first time to say, I'm in the right place.
We could go deeper on this. It's a great question. It does. The answer, the most important thing is that you are telling the visitor quickly where they are and that they're in the right place. In other words, you've got a headline that is descriptive about what you do. You can draw attention to a headline by either using a face or a prominent image nearby or by creating lots of white space around it. But regardless, you're deciding what is at the top of your visual hierarchy and what is the most visually prominent thing on the page. Image, no image, slideshow, video, whatever you do, make sure that the very first thing that the visitor does is they can see where they are, what you do, and your desired outcome for them, the action you want them to take, is quite prominent.
Yeah. If I was to endorse or agree with that guy, I might say maybe you're right. Maybe you don't want to waste too much space on something so singular as like a background video. But on the other hand, if I was to take a counterpoint, is you want to keep it very simple. And I think the hero shots that are busy and slide and dissolve and have 4 items in them mixed into a grid are too confusing, and they increase your bounce rate.
Definitely. Keep it clear. Keep it open. Add more white space. Give the eye a place to rest. Your job is not to fill every pixel on the page. It's to guide the visitor's attention through a series of messages through which they get more educated about what you do, more trusting that you're legit, and they get a clear call to action to move off the homepage. The goal of the homepage is to get people off the homepage and onto the interior page it's most relevant to them.
All right. So the hero shot, main image, I suppose, could mean the same thing or not, can or cannot include your headline. It can or cannot include a subheadline or subcopy, and it can or cannot include your call to action. And so it's a combination of deciding from a design aesthetic point of view whether this stuff is on top of the image, above it or below it, and some combination is going to work for you. It's more common these days, I think, to like make it a big dominant kind of call to action, your hero shot. Like on your website, it says view our portfolio or something like that.
Yeah. And let's point out something about the headline, the vague, super obscure headline that really means nothing. It's generic marketing copy. We're number 1 or best in the world or first in class or blah, blah, blah. Not effective, right, Barry? What is your recommendation for the top of that homepage headline? What combination of words do you choose?
I think if you're just starting and you don't know what you're doing and you're going to be playing the perfection paralysis game, you write the words how to blank and you fill in the blank. That doesn't mean that ultimately is going to be your headline, but if you fill that blank in well, then you have at least a fallback position on your headline. That headline should say to the person who is in the right place, you're in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
Say to the person who's in the wrong place, you're in the wrong place.
Descriptive text, like name your business category. Okay, let's keep going, Sal. What else is on this page?
Almost everything we're going to talk about next, I think, is optional, okay? And I think this is really the lesson that needs to be understood today, that, your home page could be 20 or 25 ideas that we'll talk about, but and maybe it should be to get started, so that you're not paralyzed by making the perfect homepage, and then you master the art of subtraction. And so everything we talk about going forward, or a lot of things we talk about going forward, are optional. And one of them is what comes next, which is often an introduction. You find it on my website. I think you'll find it on yours. It's copy. Mm-hmm. It should be brief. You're not on a blog page. And it should, kind of continue on the idea of the headline saying, we're here to solve these problems for you. And often you're going to have links there and keywords there. And I think you just make that super short and sweet, the introductory copy.
Yeah, short and sweet, but I'm going to think, you don't want a page that's so light that there's not a place for some text. The total weight of the page in terms of words on a homepage should probably be 500 plus words. This doesn't have to be a long blocky paragraph, definitely not, but we do have to describe the business we're in, and the homepage is the one page that has the best chance of ranking for the most competitive phrases of everything you're going to target. So, keep that intro paragraph tight, but overall, we do want a page that's probably got 500 to 800 words on it total.
Yeah, you want the search engines to see it.
Yep, for sure.
All right, so then you could stick a portfolio there. There's no particular order in the things that come next, but there's an enormous amount of types of companies, such as design and photography and travel, clothing. Certainly a lot of marketing categories where a portfolio makes sense, and it's what people are looking for. So, don't hide it. Put it right there.
Yep. Show what you do. Show, don't tell. Like put the words, or put the examples of the service, the value you offer, the business you're in the most visual way that you can. Tricky for service companies because it's an abstract thing in many cases, but we're going to be showing off what we do here, portfolio stuff if it's relevant. Also content. We're talking often about people who are committed to the business best practices that we follow. Content. Surface, our designers here always use the word surface. Surface the content that you would be publishing in the blog onto the home page by having blocks of content, blocks of places for you to promote your latest work. If you do events, promote the upcoming events. If you've published something lately or you've got news, a block for news. But I'll say this, when a lot of people surface content, they end up with a design that has a big header that says news, or a big header that says events, or a big header that says blog. And below that, there's little tiny blog header. Like the headline of whatever the content you're servicing should probably be the biggest thing in this area. It's not, you don't need a big label that says blog posts and below it a small headline of the blog post. The purpose of putting this here is to promote the content, which means that the headline of the content itself should probably be the biggest, most prominent thing in this section.
Yeah, in combination with probably a little eye candy, but yeah, there's a lot of companies that have a blog and they make it kind of mysterious that they actually do, and then there's a lot of WordPress templates or any kind of CMS templates that put the blog first. It's like if you didn't have a coder redevelop your template, it basically presents your homepage as a blog. And so I think a better balance if you have products and services to sell is to figure out a way to make a section of your homepage about your blog.
Yeah. And I don't like obviously don't like the meaningless section header, but if you're committed to content, surface that, I think is something we'd both agree. Hey, here's one. Social proof. If you make sure that your best foot is forward, and that since this will be a popular page on your site, that you do put your best testimonial here with whatever assets you've got to support it, a picture if possible, if not, at least the name, if not the name, at least the initials, if possible, put the company. This is a place where we can add social proof, other forms, businesses you've worked with, logos of companies you've worked with, years in business. If you're a product company, your best seller. You can make sure that there's some distinguishing thing, some evidence of legitimacy on that homepage. This is a great place to add any kind of video, testimonial, anything at all that shows that you're legit.
Our most popular products, our most popular posts, our most popular resources. Yeah, you help people understand where to go by showing them where the people that came before them went.
Yeah.
Now, features and benefits, that could be treated as a list, that could be treated as a grid, that could be treated as pods. Your company has a different name for them than pods. What do you call them?
Content blocks.
Content blocks, yeah. So basically we're talking about like taking, it's hard not to think of home pages now as rows because when they get miniaturized into a tablet or a phone presentation, they are indeed rows and they don't have sidebars. And so you break up the wall-to-wall, left-to-right thing with what I call pods or content blocks. And they could be, the next most important things you want people to see. Go to our speaker page, go to our, resources page, go to our blog, what have you. And that often is features and benefits, whether for better or worse, companies that have something to sell and are trying to communicate quickly to you what that is and why you should be interested are going to kind of present like a miniature brochure. And so really popular style, I think it comes from Apple, probably not on their homepage, but on their internal pages. I call it ping pong. You go image right, image left, and captions. So it's still a very elegant way to present your features and benefits.
And what you're doing when you build a page like that, the tall scrolling page, is you have one or maybe just one or two things that are very prominent at that scroll depth. So as the visitor scrolls down, and we love tall scrolling pages, visitors love these pages, they convert very well, is that you're controlling the eye and creating some interest as the eye moves left to right and right to left, and that story is told, and you're building it and adding evidence, calls to action, and social proof, and more features, and more social proof, and another benefit. You build these pages where you can really control the eye, that you're not giving the person 65 things that are all competing for attention at that scroll depth. Rather, you're building a tall page where you can really control what you're presenting to them by stacking things up in these pods or content blocks.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, so do you sell something, listeners, that is an impulse decision and costs $1? Probably not. And so chances are pretty good you're building an email database. And so you want to make a place on your homepage to build subscribers or to invite subscribers. And that could be simply be a forum. It could be a button that leads to a landing page. It could be an offer, but whatever it is, it's something that you should consider when you're building your homepage. How are we going to build an email database?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Make sure that, and that might appear in the footer. A lot of designs will have space in the footer. I don't think the footer is the main place where people convert. In my experience, visitors are most likely to convert on the page where they got the value. They're going to subscribe to something that they just read, and the conversion and calls to action to sign up are going to be most effective when they appear right next to some content. But sure, I mean, you can definitely give people the option. It costs you nothing, and there's the sites that convert the most have many places to subscribe. Other things you might find on a homepage. Search tool, the header is a common place for that. Footer is also a common place for that. Additional resources, calls to action, a place for more key phrases and to indicate your relevance. The footer itself is a global common feature that is going to be on every page, but that's going to have many other things, copyright, sitemap, links to the most popular, most important pages. What about personality, though? What about who we are? What about us? What about, did we skip that one, Barry? I feel like we didn't inject enough of ourselves into this page.
Yeah, well, that's going to take some careful consideration and probably the help of a website professional. You can make the mistake of going overboard with self-serving stories and features, or you can make the mistake of underdoing it, or not doing it whatsoever. So I think the more that your company is tied to an executive, a person, a personal brand, your company like mine might basically be you.
Mm-hmm.
You find a place to put yourself and make yourself look friendly and introduce yourself. So I think that's a call that every homepage designer has to make. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think we covered a lot just now. We got a great homepage built in my mind. I can see it now. Anything else, or are we moving on?
Let's see. I'm looking at the list. I think we're pretty good. You flew through additional calls to action. And I think it's an interesting point that, you're going to have a main call to action, but throughout your site, you might, I think I picked this up from Angie Schottmuller too, you want to make an objective to get people to the places they want to be quickly. And that sometimes works with the nav bar, but it sometimes doesn't. Nav bars tend to be kind of a standard and generic. And so throughout your site, you want to say, in this section, we offer you information about this, and make links that are easy to find and click.
Absolutely. We just covered a whole bunch of stuff, and we're going to make sure this list is available on the show notes.
Yeah, that was dense. All right, so let's talk about mousetraps and cheese.
Okay, so we do cheese, we do mousetraps. Barry gives us a cheese tip, which is a content marketing and traffic building tip here generally. And then I'm going to talk about mousetraps, which is more about web design and conversion optimization. But Barry, what's your cheese tip for today?
Yeah, I'm going to ask for your help with this because you're the web development guru. So I'm going to throw it to you as I hand it off to Mousetraps. But I'm going to say first and foremost that I find it insanely irritating and frustrating to hunt for a blog on a website that I suspect has one or I hope has one. And so I think part of your homepage design should be to wear your blog loud and proud. And that should be, like we talked about before, by surfacing it like Andy talked about, and make its presentation interesting and probably automated such that the latest posts or the best posts or some idea about what people are actually looking for are impossibly hard to miss. And so make your blog a part of your homepage. Don't make me go fishing for it or wondering or guessing, and don't host it elsewhere. And then here's where I want to hand it off to you, Andy, because I know there's a difference between putting the word blog dot in front of your domain name versus putting /blog there. And I think the better way is /blog.
Yeah, this is a question that's been asked to Google. Google said that it's a toss-up and that they can figure things out quite well either way. But subdomain, as in blog.website.com, or directory, as in website.com/blog. What most SEOs would say, and I personally believe is a better place for it, is in a directory. Because if you have it at website.com/blog, directories are simply closer to the root. They're more likely to be what the website is really about. Subdomains are used for all kinds of things, alternate versions, different languages, international sites, login areas. Directories are almost always about what that website's about, but subdomains are used for many other things. So I think it's better SEO best practices to put your blog at a directory. Plus, slightly easier to analyze your website in analytics because everything that's in a directory is definitely in the same analytics account, and you can see it all and filter it all in your analytics very easily just by putting the word blog into the filter box at the top of any report.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so mousetrap tip. I got a mousetrap tip for you, and mousetrap's about conversions. Conversions are about trust. Trust is about people. People buy from people, and the people in a company are a differentiator. They're part of that company. So I think that websites need faces. I think that it's weird that big company, that little businesses are always trying to look like big businesses, and big businesses are often trying to look like little businesses. I think that more businesses just need to try to look more human and do so by putting faces. Put your people on your website. Invest in a decent headshot. If you can, pay attention to lighting. If you've got high turnover, take those headshots in black and white because you can color match and lighting match a little bit easier if you hire or fire or times change. But put people on your website. Never, if you can, just please never use stock photos of people. I think even if, for almost every business, it makes sense. It's a conversion optimization tactic. It's a differentiator. Another way to be a real business is to show a picture of your real business. Not every business has a physical location. So if you've got a building or a retail space or an office, pictures of that is another way to differentiate. But these are ways to be yourself, and that's important. Mousetrap tip. Next time, I like this topic. Next time we're going to be talking about the blog design, the design of a blog, the design of the blog detail pages, the design of the blog landing pages. What should it include? How prominent should those social icons be? Do you put dates on your blog? Like, we're going to talk about the design of the blog, which is should be really interesting to this audience, and I'm looking forward to it.